Good afternoon. My name is Adriana Castano, and I will be presenting my project, which is called Development of an Evidence-Based Clinical Pathway for Management of Retroperitoneal Hemorrhage Following Neurointerventional Procedures. I conducted this project with the help of the Villanova faculty, and it was instituted at Virtua Health, where there is currently an affiliation with Penn Medicine. Stroke remains one of the leading causes of death worldwide, and mechanical thrombectomy has become the standard of care for large vessel occlusion strokes. Complications arising from vascular access in these procedures, particularly RPH, can significantly affect patient outcomes. This leads us to our clinical problem. RPH occurs in a small but significant number of patients with a mortality rate of 6.6%. Unfortunately, our institution did not have a standardized approach in managing these types of complications, which created a variability in care. Our purpose was to standardize management of RPH in neuroendovascular patients, particularly those experiencing vascular access site complications. We set out our objectives, which was to compile evidence-based practice recommendations for managing RPH, develop a comprehensive clinical pathway for these patients, gain buy-in from key stakeholders, including the Critical Care Practice Council and Neuroscience Service Line, and then integrating this pathway into Virtua's clinical protocols. The literature review revealed key elements necessary for RPH management, which was manual pressure at the surgical site, consultation with vascular surgery, blood transfusion as needed, ICU monitoring with serial hemoglobin checks, and IV fluid support. Additionally, it emphasized the major importance of clinical pathways in improving care quality, reducing costs, and enhancing staff satisfaction. It became clear that implementing a standardized pathway would drive change in practice. We used the Iowa model of evidence-based practice, which is a widely adopted framework to guide our approach. Key measures of success included acceptance of the clinical pathway by the Critical Care Practice Council and Neuroscience Service Line, and uploading the pathway into Virtua's Neuroscience Resource website. The intervention was the creation of clinical pathway tailored at management the RPH post-neurointerventional procedures. The implementation pathway involved conducting a thorough literature review to gather the evidence, drafting the initial clinical pathway, incorporating feedback from the DMP team, and refining the pathway, sending the final pathway to physician leaders, and then ultimately presenting it to the council for approval. We achieved a major milestone when the pathway was approved and implemented on June 26, 2024 by the Critical Care Practice Council. It was then made accessible to all providers via the Neuroscience Clinical Resource website. The pathway itself has two key components: a comprehensive guide outlining management steps, including diagnostic imaging and post-angiogram care, and two, an algorithm that helps differentiate between stable and unstable patients, ensuring tailored management based on clinical status. The implementation of this pathway didn't just standardize care for RPH, it laid the groundwork for future clinical pathways as we expand and refine our neuroscience ICU. Significance to nursing practice. This project represents significant improvement on how we care for this neuroendovascular patient population. By incorporating pathways into clinical practice guidelines, we closed an important gap in care. We also provided a foundation for improving care across the neuroscience patient population. Looking ahead, the clinical pathway will continue to drive changes in practice for neuroendovascular patients. There is also potential to adapt this framework to other endovascular procedures within the Virtua system and expanding it to other Virtua sites. As we gather more evidence, we can further develop and refine the pathway to ensure it remains aligned with best practices in the field. Thank you.